Hello, inhabitants of the internet. It's your favorite shop-dwelling Sarah here with another vehicle review. Today I have the 2022 Genesis GV70 3.5 all-wheel drive Sport Prestige. No boats and hose reference, I'm sorry. Anyway, this thing's good looking, like seriously good looking. It's one of my favorite rocket bubbles as far as styling goes. That's what I call these quick crossovers now. They're just the rocket bubbles. I'm gonna get this thing up in the air. We're gonna nerd out over the tech specs and see how this thing is constructed, and then go take it for a rip and see how it does. Well. Sejong. That's quite the exhaust tip. Wow. Look at the detail that went into this tip. I mean, that is so crazy. That's actual metal. No shit. How about that? And it's so close to the actual plastic though. That's nice. That's not just a cheap piece of plastic. That's a lot of effort that went into that tip. Look at this little tiny bucket in the trunk storage area. No room for a spare tire there. Out back you have a multi-link rear suspension with electronically adjustable dampening. It depends on what drive mode you have it set in. It's got these little arrow shields down here on the lower control arms. As far as the drivetrain goes, this is all-wheel drive, and what I respect the most about the GV70 is the fact that it has a longitudinal mounted drivetrain configuration. And if you don't know what that means, it means the transmission is stuck to its butt and the drive shaft comes out its ass. Because this is a Sport Prestige package, it is equipped with the optional electronic locking rear differential, which is capable of sending 100% of the torque to the rear wheels or 100% to either left or right rear wheel. And the transfer case is capable of providing up to 50% of the torque for the front wheels, making this thing rear biased and fun. If you look right up above this heat shield, you can see the drive shaft is mounted above the exhaust system, which would be kind of a pain to have to do anything with that. You have to take the whole exhaust and these shields down. Considering this GV70 isn't terribly large, it's rather heavy. It weighs in at 4,453 pounds. I have no idea what that is in kilograms because I'm not a human calculator, so I'll put that on the screen for you. It has lots of that hairy cardboard undercladding. It's kind of a high-class hairy cardboard though. It feels a little bit well-made compared to some vehicles. It's got this little H letter that doesn't exist in the English alphabet pipe between the two exhaust banks, and then this little brace right here, aluminium, the little resonators. Not as nice welds though as you get on a Lexus or Toyota product. Now there's only one transmission available in this 3.5 liter all-wheel drive GV70, and that is the Alpha 8 Tango Romeo 1-1. It is an 8-speed traditional automatic transmission, no dual clutch in here, and it is absolutely shoehorned up into that transmission tunnel. I mean, you can't see hardly anything. It's got a super rugged aluminum transmission crossmember though. Look, it's got 6 bolts that holds it in. But if you were to take this out and undo the transmission hardware and the drive shaft, it looks like it dropped fairly clean out the underside of this thing. So yeah, it's shoehorned, but they did think about removing it. It doesn't look that terrible. And if you wanted to put some aftermarket downpipes on this thing, well, the upper hardware's pretty tucked up in there. Hey, someone stole the little lid to drain the oil, or they never put it back on. Up front, you have a McPherson strut style front suspension, again the same style damper as you have in the rear, electronically controllable. Everything is all aluminium. It's got dual ball joints right here. What's crazy about this suspension though is it has what's called road preview technology. So it actually utilizes the front facing cameras to scan the road ahead in case there's like a pothole or just shitty infrastructure in the road in front of you. It'll automatically adjust the suspension accordingly to make the ride more comfortable, or in performance applications, stiffer. Time for the braking test. This thing's got some pretty big brakes on it too, so this might suck. belt tighten up. It was soft on the seat belt. It didn't like yank it on me, but I felt it get a little tighter. It's pretty good braking. It's very smooth. Smooth, a little bit of vibration from the ABS, but firm. That braking was accomplished with a 14.2-inch front rotor, or 360 millimeters, and a 4-piston monoblock caliper. Now the wheels, this is part of a package that also included the limited slip differential, are a 21/9. Genesis calls this dark spottering. It actually looks more like wafflering, if I had to call it something. It's creative. I like a 5-spoke, and it's all one color. It's not machine face, so that's a plus. It's an interesting looking wheel. It's kind of love or hate it. I like it though. It's different, and they're wrapped in a set of tires. Well, you thought I was going to give you the size of the tires? Of course I am. It's a car review. 255/40 Michelin Primacy Touring all seasons. Out back, you have a 345 millimeter rotor with a rather dinky little single pot floating caliper that is not color matched to the front, and it's just satin black. It wouldn't have been that hard to make this satin black. Come on, that's attention to detail, Genesis. These wheels though, I don't know, they are growing on me. They're square stance. The rear wheel and tire is the same size as the front. In the name of science, I am now gonna give this thing the beans. Bolstering check. Pretty good. Not bad bolstering. And the seat's heated and ventilated, so it's a comfy seat, and it's super soft. Alcantara suede. Everything in here is suede. Okay, beans. I have multiple drive modes down here. I can go from snow, which this thing could probably be pretty decent in the snow, I'd imagine. Eco, it changes the 3D gauge cluster. It's kind of 3D. It's not like Mercedes 3D where it's super noticeable, but it's kind of 3D. Comfort, Sport Plus, which automatically defeats traction control. I like that. And then custom. You can configure that how you want. I'm gonna leave it in Sport Plus and give this thing a little bit of launch control and see what it'll do. Ready? Go. Okay. Ooh, I like the little overboost right before it shifts. A little surge, that's nice. That's good. Yeah, that's good. It's not fast, but it's seriously quick. Oh, pop hood. Ooh, look at that coolant expansion tank. It looks like a fruit for robots. And you painted on the underside. Good job. Under the hood of this 2022 Genesis GV70 is the TGDI Smart Stream 3.5 liter all aluminum 4-cam twin turbo V6 that produces 375 horsepower at 5,800 RPM and 391 pound-feet of torque from 1,300 to 4,500 RPM. 1,300 is pretty damn low. That's a nice meaty torque curve too. This looks like it'd be a fairly easy engine bay to keep clean with all this nice black plastic. I like these aluminum braces that go from the strut towers to your radiator core support. Also notice the placement of these strut towers. They're pretty far forward in relation to where your engine is at, which gives this a 52 to 48% weight distribution. Digging in a little bit deeper on this 3.5 liter, now this is not the same engine that is found in the G70. That is actually a 3.3 liter, which is shared with the Kia Stinger GT. It's a difference of 0.2, because 3.3 and 3.5, math. This is direct injection. It has 11:1 compression ratio with 92 by 87 millimeter bore and stroke. Oh, this is hot, but I want to take off this engine cover so you can get a better look underneath. That's an interesting shape. Ah, good. That did absolutely nothing. You can see a plastic cover over a wiring harness. No way. Or is this is interesting. I gotta take it apart. Ah, there, that's a little bit better. I took off the lid to the air box so you can take a look at the shape of the air filter. It's kind of interesting shape to it. Got dual air filters mounted up on top of the engine with your charge pipes. Yeah, this doesn't look like it'd be too fun to work on. It's pretty crammed inside that engine bay. I'm gonna go ahead and stop myself here before I start really taking this thing apart and spying underneath the hood. Cookie, let's take this thing for a rip. Yeah, I love those little surges. I wish I could just get that all the time power level. Then this thing would be seriously fast. Let's see how this one ranks against the other luxury rocket bubbles I've driven. Handling wise, it's fun. I mean, it's definitely a fun vehicle to drive on a windy road to a limit. It gets to the point where it can only handle so good because you start feeling the weight, just the heft and the mass of this thing because of the size of it. It's a crossover, BB, SUV, whatever you want to call it. Switching it over into the comfort mode, you do notice a pronounced difference, especially from Sport Plus. Sport Plus is just like pissed off and ready to fight all the time. It's on edge. It's super aggressive of a mode, and I like that. I like when the super aggressive mode in a vehicle is just that, on edge and ready to party. And they did a great job with the Sport Plus setting. And the comfort setting is super comfy in here. The rear seats are pretty comfortable too. They're heated and there is a little separate HVAC control back there for the rear passengers, and I'm a bit of a Sasquatch and I fit back there nicely. It's hard not to love the practicality of a giant pot hatch though, because come on, that's kind of what this thing is. It's a giant pot hatch. It's super practical. And the interior, this thing has got almost 10 grand in options added to it. And it's like low-key kind of worth it because the inside of this thing is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And even with 10 grand in options, it's still in the low mid 60s, which I think is great value for what it is. The big dial for the infotainment system is located really close to your drive mode selector, so I kept turning that when I was trying to put it into park, neutral, and drive. It's a little confusing having them so close together. The HVAC control area is super pretty in here. It's just a big screen. There's a little black dot that I kept pressing because it just looks like a button. I want to press it. It doesn't do anything from what I can tell. The Lexicon sound system in here is pretty decent. The door trim has this really pretty weird texture to it. I don't know what it's trying to replicate, but it's futuristic and luxurious looking. I like it. It looks great too on the outside. I love Genesis's styling, the way they do those 2-bar taillights and headlights. It's a good looking vehicle. It confuses a lot of people. They don't know what it is. They're like, what is that? Is that a Bentley? I've had people ask all kinds of weird things that this is not. I love that they offer so many fun colors for this thing, including 4 mattified finishes, one of which is green, and it looks so sick in pictures. I don't know how it would look in person. And then the same with the interior. There's like 10 different combinations of fabric and color you can have on the interior too. Lots of customization to make this thing personalized and just to your own taste. I did see that there is an electrified version of this thing on the way. I didn't see whether it's coming to the US market or not. Hopefully it is, because I think this type of vehicle would benefit greatly from electrification. Sounds of nature, it has bird noises. Ooh, I don't like the fireplace. It makes me sound like I'm burning alive in here. All right, it's time to give this thing some scores. If you guys never seen one of my reviews before, I have multiple categories to rate and assess them. Starting with the coveted bean score, it is an assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. So this GV70 3.5 Sport Prestige Worldwide United is getting a rating of 2 beans. Well deserved. This thing is quick. Next though is the cookie score. It's assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on what you get for what you spend. And the GV70, as this one is equipped with all the options added to it, is getting a rating of 4.2 cookies. I feel this is excellent value. And the thing about it is the way this car looks, the average person that's not a car enthusiast, they're gonna see this and they're not gonna know what the hell it is. They will think it's like a Bentley or a Rolls Royce or something because it just has that presence to it. It is so high class looking, and not a lot of people know about the Genesis brand yet, I feel. So next is the mechanic score on a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being super easy to maintain, 1 being abysmal. This GV70 is getting a rating of 2.9 wrenches, it's a little bit above halfway. The drivetrain configuration aided to that score just a little bit, but there's a lot of tech packed into there. It's a little compact in some areas as far as maintenance goes. And the thing that's adding to the score, though, is because the fact that it has such a great warranty, and it does feel well engineered and well built. Lastly, though, is the Penguin score. It's an assessment on a 1 to 5 scale based on how much I personally like a vehicle. And the GV70 is getting a rating of 2.9 penguins. I know that score might seem like it's low to some people, but I do like this. However, personally, if I was gonna buy a product from Genesis, I would actually go for the G70 sedan over GV70. I don't know, I think I'd go for the sedan. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you soon with another. Bye.